Are your limiting beliefs holding you back? I know mine held me back for many years and came very close to making me give up on the dream of being an artist altogether. In this video, I'm going to tell you how I was able to overcome those limiting beliefs to achieve my dream life as an artist, where I get to spend my days doing what I love while earning over $200,000 per year for over a decade. So if you dream of a life as a successful artist, but your limiting beliefs are keeping you from pursuing that dream, you need to watch this video. But before we get going, if you find my content helpful and would like me to keep producing more like this, you could do me a big favor and click on that subscribe button. Okay, we need to go all the way back to 1982 for this. So it was my ultimate dream to become a professional artist, but I'd just been laid off from my third low-level job as a graphic designer. And these were mind-numbing, soul-sucking, pay-stub jobs. They were not the dream, and I'd still been let go from 3 jobs in the 2 years since I got out of college. I came to the realization that I was just not talented enough to become a professional artist, and that, my friends, is a limiting belief. I held on to that limiting belief for the next 15 years. I wasn't talented enough to be an artist, so I started looking for a plan B. Well, the police force was hiring, and that led to an 18-year stint as a cop in Toronto. But I was still enamored of everything to do with art. I bought art books, I subscribed to art magazines, but I scratched my art itch vicariously by following the lives of those who were actually living the dream, knowing that I just wasn't born with the talent for it. Then around 1996, I was reading an interview with Harley Brown. Now, he's a very successful artist and teacher, and he claimed that the whole idea of talent as some sort of gift that you either have or don't have is a myth. Instead, he said, it was just about putting in the time and effort to master all of the skills and concepts. And he said if you were willing to do this, he 100% guaranteed you would be successful. And I remember thinking, that's a load of BS. He's probably one of those gifted people, and they always say it's just about hard work. But I kept coming back to that article over the next week, and a little voice kept popping up in my head saying, what if he's right? What if I could have become a successful artist if I had just kept working at it? And what if I could maybe make some money from my art after I retired from the police force? But at this time I had a very successful career. I was a detective, I liked my job, but I didn't love my job, and I still daydreamed about what it would be like to be a successful artist. I still didn't really believe Harley Brown, but I decided I was going to live my life for the next year as though I did. I think they now call that behaving your way to success. The one thing that Harley didn't say in his interview is what were the skills and concepts we needed to learn. So I started to research this. I bought a lot of books, I started taking workshops, studying the lives and careers of successful artists. I also started painting several times a week. I pretty quickly came to the realization that composition was something I had to work on. I was already pretty good at drawing, but I had absolutely no compositional sense. Instructors would say things like, don't just paint things where they appear in your photo, move them around. Then I was like, well, move what, where? If I'm just randomly moving things around, I might be moving the one thing that's actually in a good spot. Now I realize looking back that all of those instructors were just working from their intuitive sense of composition, but they didn't really know the theory. So they could critique a finished painting and tell me the changes that could make it better, but they couldn't tell me why those changes would make it better. They were just going on their gut instincts. Now my problem was I had no gut instincts when it came to composition. So I searched for books that taught the theories of composition. Now I found a great book by Frank Webb, Strengthening Your Paintings Through Dynamic Composition, and another one by guess who? Harley Brown. That was Eternal Truths for Every Artist. Now for about 6 months, I just read these books over and over while continuing to paint. I gradually started to absorb the theories of composition, and surprise, surprise, my paintings got better and better. Now I was fortunate later in my career to take several workshops with Zoltan Szabo, who was an absolute master of composition, Now composition's one of my biggest strengths. Now I also bought a bunch of books on various painting techniques and mediums and on painting various subjects, and I worked really hard to try and master all of the skills, techniques, and concepts that were being taught. And my paintings started to pile up, and they were starting to get positive comments from family and friends, so I decided to have a show and sale at my home. I announced the date, I started telling everyone about it. My studio open house took place almost a year to the day from when I had read that interview with Harley Brown. I had about 60 to 70 friends and family show up, and I actually sold most of my paintings. Now, mind you, the prices were very, very low, but still, I was ecstatic. Later that year, a painting of mine won Best in Oils in a local juried show, and I was convinced there was something to what Harley Brown was saying. So I decided to keep working to master skills, techniques, and concepts to improve my art. I thought that if I really worked hard at this, maybe I could make some part-time income when I retired about 15 or 20 years down the road. Well, over the next couple of years, I won numerous awards at juried shows, including a few national and international shows. I had a backlog of portrait commissions to fulfill, and I'd been elected as a member of the Canadian Society of Painters in Watercolor and as a senior signature member in the Canadian Institute of Portrait Artists. And in 1999, my wife and I had a long talk, and she said we needed to decide not if I quit my job to pursue art full time, but when would be the right time to do this. Now you have to understand that my wife was a banker, and this was not about me being fulfilled. This was about the long-term economic well-being of our family. And she thought there was a chance that I could make a lot more money as an artist than I could as a police officer. So we struck a deal that if I did this, and if it ever became clear that I could not make a good living as an artist, I'd put on a suit and get a real job again. So in January of 2000, I quit my job. I walked away from my pension to pursue my dream. Now to this day, that's still the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. And it was a bit of a struggle for the first few years, mainly because I knew nothing about the business of being an artist. But eventually, I was able to figure things out, and it turns out Harley Brown was right, at least as far as I'm concerned. My wife was able to retire in her 40s, and for the past decade, I've earned over $200,000 in each and every year, allowing us to live an amazing lifestyle. Now, I'd always thought that if I knew then what I know now, I could have achieved success much faster. I'd actually hoped that one of my boys would be bitten by the art bug, because I figured I could fast forward their path to success, but that didn't happen. But in 2017, I had the opportunity to mentor a young artist who was the daughter of a friend. She just graduated as a landscape architect, but what she really wanted was to be an artist. Well, by following my advice and working very hard, Brooke Cormier earned over $30,000 from her art in her very first year, and she's since gone on to amazing success, with her work often selling for more than mine. Now, I recorded all of our sessions, and you can actually watch her entire journey here on my channel under the Mentorship Project. Well, in 2019, I experienced the year of the thyroid from hell, and I almost died on 2 separate occasions. And that led to a lot of soul searching. And I realized that I wasn't really interested in just continuing to crank out more paintings and sell them, at least not for now. What I really wanted to do was help other aspiring artists achieve their dreams. I'd always loved teaching, but I'd given it up years ago because I just wasn't able to earn anywhere near as much from teaching as I could from just painting and selling my work. Accepting teaching gigs, in effect, cost me money. So there's another limiting belief, right? That I could never make as much money from teaching as I could from painting. And this one had influenced my actions for over the past decade. And I decided it was time to challenge it. Now, I realized that for me to be able to dedicate a full-time effort to teaching, I needed to turn it into a successful, profitable online business. I had no idea how to do this, but I just applied the same principles that I used when starting my art career. Do the research, learn what skills and concepts I needed to master, and there were a lot, and then do the work to master them and put them into practice. It was a bit of a slow start because again, I didn't know what I didn't know, but we gradually figured things out. In the fall of 2020, I launched the Tim Packer Art Academy online, and to date, I've helped several thousand artists with my online courses, and the online teaching has become the biggest source of income in my business. In just a couple of years, we've also had some amazing success stories. One of my students, Emily Valentine, experienced 3 sellout shows in a row, and despite quadrupling her prices in her first year, she's still having trouble keeping up with the demand. Cheryl Ann Hills was able to sell more paintings in her first 4 months with my program than she had in her previous 4 years. And Amy Adams placed second in the Artist Magazine Artists to Watch category, and she also received honorable mention for a different painting in their open competition. We've also had many other successes by my students. So you see, it turns out Harley Brown was right. But I was also right when I told myself I wasn't talented enough to become a successful artist. Because I wasn't. Not at that time. But I would have been much more right if I had added the word yet. I wasn't talented enough yet. You see, talent is not some magical gift that is anointed on special chosen people. It's simply the sum total of your knowledge, skills, experience, and creativity. And all of these things can be improved upon. And this is mindset in a nutshell. So if you have a limiting belief about yourself that you're just not good enough in some way to achieve the life you were meant to live, I encourage you to put the word yet on the end of that sentence and then start working to make yet happen. And here's how. Even if deep down you don't believe you could achieve the same sort of success that I have, that Brooke has, or that many other successful artists have, I want you to do what I did. Pretend. For just 1 year, pretend that you do believe and act accordingly. Make a promise to yourself to act in a way as if you do believe this is true. And then at the end of that year, see how much you've accomplished. I'm sure that if you throw yourself into this and do the work, the results will amaze you. But you do need to put in the work. But I believe with my whole heart that if you're willing to do the work to master the skills and concepts, then success as an artist is not only possible, but highly probable. And that's not only in art, but in anything in life. But if you have a passion for art, a solid work ethic, and a willingness to learn, then you too could achieve success at whatever level you aspire to. But you will need to master all of the skills and concepts to do that. And not only about art, but about the business of art as well. And to fast track the process, like Brooke Cormier and some of my students have done, you also need to be able to focus on exactly the right thing at the right stage of your development. Now, if you're still watching this, I'm going to assume that you're pretty serious about pushing past your limiting beliefs and making a plan to start living the life you know in your heart you were meant to live. And if that's the life of a successful artist, I can help you with that. I already have over 200 videos on my channel dedicated to helping artists, and I encourage you to take advantage of them. But that's a lot of time spent jumping around from video to video, and it's not presented in any sort of organized fashion. But if you really want to fast track the process, I'd encourage you to learn a little bit more about my Unstoppable Artist Program. This is a series of online courses worth over $900 individually that you can get for under $200. I've put these courses together specifically for those who are serious about an art career but don't really know how to get there. I am especially happy with my latest course, Creating Your Plan for Success, in which I lay out all of the skills and concepts that you need to master that Harley Brown neglected to mention. I also present them in what I think is the proper order for you to focus on them, and I show you how to create a plan with goals and objectives that are specific to where you are right now on your artistic development, and you can use this plan to continually move forward as you set new goals and new objectives on your way to success. And this is, in effect, what I did each month with Brooke Cormier when I mentored her. But you also get one free group Q&A call with me on Zoom. And if you ever decide to join my Hungry Artist community, which includes weekly Zoom calls for critiques and Q&A, as well as access to all of my current and future courses, well, if you sign up for the Unstoppable program, you get a $200 credit towards the Hungry Artist if you ever decide to take advantage of that. So if you're serious about pursuing art as a career and you want to have success like I've had, but you don't want to waste all of the time that I did and make all of the same mistakes that I made along the way, if what you really want is to fast track the process, then I'd encourage you to go to the homepage of my Art Academy website at www.timpackerartacademy.com and click on the Learn More button for the Unstoppable Artist program. Watch the value video that explains the skills and concepts you'll learn with these courses. And if it seems like a good fit for you, then hopefully I'll see you in one of the live Q&A calls down the road.